Hi, this is Chris Hoy. Welcome to Create with Chris. Today we are creating this really nice love frame board. I started with a wood frame plaque, painted the outer border black, the center white. The stencil I wanted to use did not fit down in the center of the plaque, so I did trim around it to make sure that it fit nice and tight. Once I get it centered, I'm going to secure it with a piece of painter's tape. To stencil the letters, I'm using my Spectacular stencil brush. It has a very soft bristle. Loading it with lamp black paint, making sure to wipe the excess paint off of the brush. This will help ensure a nice, clean, crisp edge. The one mistake with stenciling is if the edges are not nice and clean and sharp, it's because there's too much paint on the brush. Always wipe the bristles off after loading, have a light touch, and don't push the paint up under the edge of the stencil. Take your time, do a nice steady stroke on it, either a soft swirl or a gentle pounce, and you'll always end up with nice clean edges. After I've painted or stenciled the black on there, I'm going to remove the tape and just reposition it so I can stencil the heart. And the stencil did shift a little bit when I removed the tape, so I want to make sure to realign the stencil. Once it's in place, I will get that tape on there, secure it, and then I'm going to load my Spectacular stencil brush with a really nice red so that I can stencil the heart on. Now with the black paint, one coat covered it very nicely. When stenciling over white, a lot of times lighter colors, and red leans a little bit toward the transparent side. You definitely need two coats. Again, I loaded my brush, wiped the bristles off on the paper towel. Always keep one handy at the side so you can make sure that you are not over applying heavy paint. That will always cause problems. Once that is dry, or once that's painted or stenciled on there, I'm going to pick up my heat tool, which is a nice heat gun. Just going to hit it with a little blast of hot air just to make sure that's super dry before I go on to add the second coat of paint on the heart. You notice that the paint, now that it's dry, you can see how uneven the red is. So by adding the second coat of paint, it's going to even it up and give it a nice, rich red color. So again, wipe the stencil brush off, take your time, do a nice slow pounce, make sure that you cover it evenly and carefully. And then after that is applied, we're going to just gently remove the stencil, and we should have perfect images stenciled onto the plaque. Perfect. Just that easy. Now I thought at this point that it looked a little bit too new. I wanted more of an antique look. So I have a very fine grit sandpaper, hitting the edges and the corners pretty hard to expose a little bit of wood. And that's just going to give it more of that distressed farmhouse look that's super popular right now. Don't forget to sand the edges on the inside of the frame as well. That really adds a lot of charm, and it's a lot of nice distressed look. I decided I wanted to put a bow at the top of the frame board, and I'm using a black and white buffalo plaid. I did cut one strip and I did the fishtail ends on it. And I measured the loops of the bow. I'm doing a double bow. Once I gather it up, I have a piece of wire. You can use a twisty tie. Just going to group everything together and twisty tie it really nice, cut those ends off. And then I will cut another piece of ribbon to wrap around to cover that twisty tie up and glue it on the back. And you can see the finished piece Super easy, super simple, and I think it's just charming. I love it, and I hope you do too. Thank you for joining me, and stay tuned for